Okay, you see the wheel. You hopefully see enough of the almost but not quite complete, because actually I'm going to rank them by team as well. Preview slash ranking slash just compiling a list of most eligible candidates, I guess. And I have some information for most, if not all of them. I've since added a few names. I'd say maybe the biggest oversight's Kahan, even though he's 36 on the blue line. He was cut. And then Pitt Martin. And Pitt Martin, come to think of it, so Pitt Martin here is still only 26. What I'm doing for the age is I'm just subtracting the year of birth from the number 69 because it's going into the 69 season. But what I thought I would then do for this one is, and I'll leave this up in the background. I'm not actually going to click on it. I've done a few practice runs of it, though, and the wheel is working just as well as ever on this newish, at least new to me, computer. I like it a lot better than the other one that I've featured in a few videos. But anyway, that's here nor there. I want to go through goaltenders, defensemen, and forwards. So I want to do a draft preview video after all. And I think I'll start with the back end with the netminders. Keep in mind too that these are not the cream of the crop. These are not superstars. The superstars, obviously, of course, have been protected by the respective teams. Each of the teams, unlike year one, where I had them protecting 7 and then drafting 14, in other words, protecting 1/3 and drafting 2/3. From here on out, at least the plan thus far is to have them now protect 2/3 of the roster and then just draft the final third. So with that said, basically, I mean, the way that I do it is I dress 18 players per game, and they've already protected 16. So some of these players probably will figure into their lineups just for being better than some of the protected players. And certainly injuries will arise, and for that reason as well, some of these players will figure into things. But anyway, before I make it sound any more uninteresting, I do want to go through. I do think that there are some interesting names, at least to me, in this bunch, and so I thought I would kind of just do it like this. I think that for goaltenders, the available goaltender, the goaltender available that's probably the most well-rounded is Roy Edwards. And actually, come to think of it, instead of the tantalizing wheel, I should have some of the background info in front of me as well. So Roy Edwards, he is 32. So he's not too old. He's kind of a prime-ish netminder at this point. And actually, his numbers experienced quite a bump in real life in 68, 69 relative to my 68 replay, where actually he didn't qualify because he didn't have as good a season in 68. I also have memories of him getting shellacked in 63 in my Western Hockey League replay. So maybe that had a little something to do with it also. But 254 goals against average, 918 save percentage, and 40 games. Detroit actually, and again, it's going to depend with a lot of these and where these teams come up on the wheel, but I do think he'd make a good candidate for Detroit because Gump Worsley's not getting any younger. Worsley, who they did protect, he got them to the playoffs for a reason. Something that I realized as I was going through this is that, I mean, this is different than real life, obviously. It's paper cards and a tabletop, or desktop, but even more than that, I think that compared to the actual NHL, my Eternal Six League is going to be a little bit more of a right now league. If they're drafting a third of their team year after year after year, they're probably going to draft. They're going to be looking. I mean, they will look to the future, I think, with some picks, but then also kind of look for Mr. Right Now for some others. I think it is wiser to do that. So, but anyway, Roy Edwards, and if I talk this much about all of them, this video is going to be like an hour long. So, Jacques Plante, he's 40 years old. But in 37 games played in 68, 69, and I didn't mention it already. I was going to say if I didn't, but I know that I didn't. In the developmental / stay busy National Hockey League, which is now a Tier 2 league relative to my Eternal 6 League, the more stacked league. So Jacques Plante, again, even at age 40, his save percentage was about 940, 939, 99. And 196 goals against average. Need I say more? Gary Suitcase Smith, I think he's known to have a nice suitcase and, have glove and blocker will travel and pads, I suppose, also. But yeah, 297, 907 save percentage, 54 games played, though, so looking for an active goaltender. And again, every team dropped at least one goaltender. So of these 10, I think I have 10, maybe 11. Actually, I added an 11th, but still, 7 of these 10 or 11 will be drafted. I probably should have said that when I started looking at goaltenders. Cesar Montiago, 3.3 average, goals against average, so 330 goals against average, And then that would round up to 907 the save percentage, but 64 games played. So pretty active goaltender. I don't know if Montreal will look to reacquire him, but don't be surprised if he ends up being one of the 7 to go. Similar to Jerry Desjardins, and again, bit of a dip here in the numbers, but if you want an active goaltender, he did play 60 games, so it's also possible he could figure into an injury replacement or something, or on a team where their goaltender's gotten noticeably worse, and then maybe he'll sort of duel it out with the other goaltender. Dave Dryden, famously or infamously, at least to me in my mind, the third string goaltender for the 68 Stanley Cup champion Boston Bruins. It remains to be seen whether or not Boston will take another flyer on Dryden. They have, of course, Cheevers and Favell. Eddie Johnston, another Boston netminder, so they might actually bring him back here in 68, 69, 308 goals against average, 895 save percentage. Joe Daly as well, kind of averages numbers there. Probably a pretty good goaltender, though, playing on a team the caliber of Pittsburgh. They even post a 323 and a save percentage there, 908. That's better than some of the goalies, slightly better at least than some of the goalies that we looked at before him. Les Binkley, he was Toronto, fellow finalist, a cup finalist in my 68, what if replay. Third string netminder for the Maple Leafs, and again, remains to be seen whether or not they'll take a chance on him. Probably what's going to happen is just who's available when they come up again. I don't have any control over the spinning wheel, so I'm going to try to just take the best available for the teams as they come up. Again, I don't have it done yet. I've started it, but I still am going to rank individually by team in terms of their needs and stuff like that. But for the first few rounds, at least first couple rounds to a few rounds of this 8-round draft, it is just going to be BPA primarily. So Les Binkley. Terry Sawchuk, only 13 games played. So again, up to 10 or 11, I don't know, unless Detroit wants to reacquire a legacy or something like that. And again, Detroit, they're stocked with Worsley. But I thought maybe just to round it out to a nice even 10, I put Sawchuk in there. But then this guy's only 26. Tony Esposito, 13 games played with Montreal. I thought, well, if I'm going to include Sawchuk with the 13, why not Tony Esposito? So I don't know. I'm 50-50 on leaving him in the draft. Maybe I'll determine that he's ineligible for having not played enough games because, again, knowing what I know and looking ahead, although I think, again, if this were real at the time, even though Esposito was relatively inexperienced, he was Phil's brother, and so it's quite possible that teams would want to maybe take him a little prematurely, even before he had acquired the experience at the NHL level. But I don't know. You let me know if it's a little unfair to saddle a team with Esposito, or armor a team with Esposito for that matter, knowing what he goes on to become. Because I'm not supposed to know that in 69. So, but again, he is Phil's brother. I took Dennis Hull first overall for a reason with the 68 thing. Kind of a looking ahead move there. And so maybe I do similar with Tony Esposito. I'll still think I've got time. I'm not doing the draft tonight. So those are the goaltenders, and this is now 8 minutes old. And so the defensemen, a little more subjective here, but I think Carl Vadnais, he's age 24. He scored 15 goals as a blue liner. His shooting range for defense is decent, 274 shots on goal. 151 penalty minutes is a bit of a deal breaker, is definitely not the right word for it, but a little discouraging. But that's courtesy of the one intimidation bar, which also has advantages in some situations, and he's dual positional. So I put Vadnais there. Don Orey, his defense rating took a bump of 1. Yes, Boston cut him. Boston, again, because they're the Cup champions, I figured they probably want to protect a few more veterans, and Orey didn't see very much ice time at all for them. So if this were real, maybe they'd let him go. They might look to reacquire him, and he might not be the only Bruins Stanley Cup player with his name on the cup that the Bruins might look to reacquire. So Don Orey. Brad Park is age 21 in this. Orey was only 26. Park, age 21. He's got a pass bonus, defense rating of 4. 26 points, so not the fully fledged offensive defenseman that he would become. Not that I should know that or anything. But I think Park will go high because another thing, looking at him on Hockey Reference, even though the draft wasn't taken quite as seriously in the 60s, he did go number 2 overall in the 64 amateur draft, meaning that, again, if this were real, Park was a highly touted prospect at the time anyway. So I don't think it's cheating to look ahead for Park for any of the teams. Jim Dory, who, if anything, probably even more outstanding as a rookie, although, again, that 200 penalty minutes, some teams might want to hit the brakes on that a little bit. It didn't really affect Boston that much, being in the box more than their opponent, but remains to be seen. It could come back to bite some teams. He's got what I like to call the pause button here with the with the 2 intimidation bars. So again, there's a reason for the 200 penalty minutes, but decent range and 8 goals and 30 points as a youthful defenseman, if not a rookie one. I'd have to double check. Francois Lacombe with a French name like that. I'm not necessarily looking ahead to a certain team that might be interested in him for that if they want to unearth some home. I should double check though to see. I think I did look already. I'm trying to recall now if he's from Laval or Roy Noranda or. Yeah, his name popped up, so I did look him up. He's just 21 here, and Lachine, Quebec. So there's Lacombe. I think he'll figure pretty high. Pat Quinn. Again, he's got a pause button, but he can also block shots. And, 95 penalty minutes, but of course he only played 40 games. That would average out to closer to 200 over a full season. 40 games is enough. Some of these guys would have gotten hurt. Larry Kahan, again, 72, really showed no signs of slowing down. Again, he's not going to be the elitist of the elite on a team's defensive unit, at least not among a team with uninjured. There were points during the campaign that I did that he could have gone to a team like Detroit and probably been top 2. But that's just because Detroit's blue line, basically, I had to bubble wrap them by season's end. Anyway, so Kahan, he can figure into things. Moose Fosco, probably only this far back because of his age, but only 34. So again, in this league as well, maybe you draft Mr. Right now if you think that your team has a shot. You're not going to get any offense from him, but he is a defenseman. And so maybe you overlook the 52 shots on goal, the measly 1 goal and 8 points, and you go for a 4-4 who can block shots and is not too much of a penalty risk. With 68 there in 72 games. Ditto Al Arbor, kind of some of the same stuff that I said about Vosco, actually. A 4-3, he can't clear quite as well, but he can block. And so he's pretty outstanding. He would certainly be an upgrade to some blue lines. Montreal released him. He's got a lot of play stoppages on his card, not necessarily a bad thing. Noel Picard, who played for Toronto, I think he lost an intimidation bar. 131 penalty minutes, though. He can still muck it up and rough it up in the 3-4 there. Good clear. So Noel Picard. Toronto might even look to reacquire him. Remains to be seen. Toronto, of course. Tim Horton had a really good year, and they protected him, but they could look to get slightly younger in their blue line. Noel Picard is 31. Leo Boivin is 38. Boivin is 38, but showed no signs of slowing down, really, at least on his card. So who knows? Maybe Boston looks to reacquire him, or New York, for that matter, who he played on in the 68 what-if campaign that I did. J.C. Tremblay, his clearing rating increased here, and he's 7 goals and 39 points. Not every defenseman even has that level of offense. 139 shots on goal. He will get to the net very often. 1-7 is, you can get worse, for defensemen at least than that. So, and a little higher in the power play and stuff. For shooting ranges for this information here, I basically just have their normal shooting range, what they're, 80 to 90% of more situations probably, what they're going to be in. So Doug Jarrett's shooting range is a 0, but he is a 3-3. He does have his name engraved in the cup, courtesy of a couple of shifts for Boston, a couple of touches for Boston, a couple of rolls in his matrix for Boston. In, I think it was the cup deciding game, actually, come to think of it. He got some ice time late when Boston was up by 5. Sorry in hindsight that, probably if it were real, I would have pulled Bernie Perrant and Toronto could have lost 6-0 instead of 5-0. That game just felt like it was done, like it was won with a D in front of it by midway through the third period. Anyway, Doug Harvey, he's 45 years old, but damn, it's a 3-3 and it's Doug frickin' Harvey. If this were real, I think Harvey, not that he was, a flashy superstar, but you signed Doug Harvey to sell tickets. That's probably why St. Louis did, why they took a flyer on him there so late in his career. Hey, is Dane Ochara age 45? So again, his numbers would indicate 3-3, not a lot of penalties. Yes, a lot of play stoppages. Again, that neutralizing play, you want to kill time late in the game, get the puck to Harvey and just kind of eat time on the clock, basically, chips and flips and clears and icing and face-offs in the neutral zone. Lou Nanny is dual positional. He's also a 3-3. I have these, I guess, loosely in order by defense/clearing. So Nanny could look to, especially with the dual positional thing, not that you'd necessarily want to have him at right wing, although with the D, yeah. Anyway, it could be worse. Wayne Hillman, again, he won't score a goal except that I do the 1-2-1 mod for that. One on the blue die, two on the white dice, and then one on the red die. So he'll have like I forget what it is, but an infinitesimal chance to score. And a 3-3 there with what am I trying to say here? The defense and the clearing. It's the end of the day here. It's after 11, but whatever. Rather than honest delivery here, rather than being up and thinking about something like this all nerdy, I thought I'd just come on and talk about it. So I'm going to talk about Dunk McCollum next year with his 3-3, 1 intimidation bar, 1-7, 18 points, 99 shots on goal. So McCollum for the defense. Originally I think this is a list of 20, and then I added a few more names, so it's probably about 23 or 24 now. I think Bob Wall was also added to it. It was 19, and then I bumped it up by a few names going through the cards. I don't know if I lost count, at least the third, fourth, or fifth time. But McCollum. Bob McCord again, I haven't said enough of the ages here. McCord is 35. One of these is now a 3, where it at least was a 4th, Montreal in 68. But again, most teams only who protected 4 or 5 defense, and they're looking to acquire that 5th, 6th, and 7th defenseman. I do rosters of 14 forwards, 7 defense, and 3 netminders. So I think that you could probably do worse than McCord for a number 6 or 7 option, even at age 35. Palat, it's a little more unlikely. 35 is now 38. Chicago gave up on him in real life and also in my replay. He just didn't, and again, it was nothing personal. He just didn't have enough ice time. So if this were real, they'd probably let Palat go, to a veteran laden team at that time like Toronto, so he could go and play with the old guys. And but at the same time, I mean, the 185 to 3-2, Palat could figure into it for an injury. Again, if it were real, you'd bring a veteran in, veteran presence. Kent Douglas, just because, again, I've read a bit about him in the 60s, and I know that he was a reclamation project a time or 3. I think he was a Calder Trophy winner in like 64. And so there's a lot, even though he's like 26 or 28 or something at the time. What is he now? 33. So he's probably about 28 and 64. But it adds up and checks out that he, what am I trying to say here? Just that he, again, I could see a team taking a gamble on him. 97 penalty minutes, which if anything, they came down. He does have the +1. 2 goals and 31 points. He does so some support offensive acumen. So again, a team, especially if their blue line starts getting banged up, could probably do worse than Ken Douglas. Or the dual position. I'm trying to remember if Douglas is. No, just right defenseman. Jerry Odrowski added him. He can also kill penalties, which is very rare for a defense-eligible player to be able to do that, to have the penalty kill star. And 2-4, he could do worse than range, although 54 shots and goal in 74 games, he ain't getting to the net often. But only 24 penalty minutes, so he won't cost you there. And 5 goals. Bob Wall, and of course it's a thing too where you could have him out there and the rebound could go to him, and then he doesn't have to roll the shot. Just if the opposition can't clear. Bob Wall, age 27, wing/defense, 147 shots on goal, and only 16 penalty minutes, and 13 tallies. So, and a 2-3 range. So you never know. Again, him and the last several guys that I've gone through, very fringe, very borderline, very bubble, but you never know. Bob Wall could figure into it. Ron Harris, again, these are guys, it's really highly unlikely, except that once I go through and do it by team, it could just be a matter of, okay, throw his name on the list just in case we need another defense and it doesn't make sense, whatever, in my weird head for us to take a certain defense there at the last minute. Probably some stuff that makes sense only to me, and that's fine. Anyway, but again, I'd say Vadnais overall, age 24 here, probably the number 1 top defense prospect. I have asterisk by a few of them, though. But again, I went through the first few in the list. I have an asterisk next to Park, Dory, Lacombe. But then really, again, some of the veterans like Fosco, 34 again in a pinch, you should probably look to acquire him. Now with the forwards, honestly, the forwards, if anything, are even more subjective than the defense. So what I did was I simply went by total points of the forwards available. And no, that is not the number 1 way to categorize them. Although Danny Grant, I mentioned him in a prior video, I really see him going good and early. I think unless a team comes up first in the wheel, that they already have a lot of wings for whatever reason. Maybe they're just a little too deep. But again, I mean, 34 goals is 34 goals. Goals win games, 211 range, 189. Enough shots, not the most. So Grant's not going to fall far in the draft. I'd be shocked if he doesn't go in round 1. And remember, again, it's just a 6-player, 6-team round. Claude LaRose, so Montreal alumnus here. Can intimidate, can forecheck, pass bonus +2, can screen, defense not too bad, 25 goals, 62 points, 268 freaking shots. So Claude LaRose. Pitt Martin somehow, and again, Martin was one of the examples where it really benefited me to go through the cards several times. I don't know how. You just when you think, I really hope that there's probably a name that's, and please let me know. I hope to remember to say this toward the end of this video, but please let me know if there's somebody that you're like, if you happen to see my team's protected list and see the cards that I've compiled here, and you're like, there's a name that he's forgotten, please don't hesitate to let me know. Just ask about a name. I'd be happy to tell you, well, it's because he's protected, or because this, that, or the other. He's not in any of my list. Or I have to go fish and unearth this card and find it. But yeah, Pitt Martin, I mean, good range here, bumped up to 61 points. He would be a classic example of a guy who, though he didn't get a lot of ice time, it really didn't make sense for the Red Wings to protect him performance-wise. He just didn't. If you look, again, 68 performance-wise, Boudreau really performed well for Detroit, so I protected him over Pitt Martin and also Eddie Joyal. 68, 69, Boudreau didn't do nearly as well as he did in 68. But again, just protecting purely on performance for the 68 season. And again, why are you looking ahead to 69? Well, it's just because I'm treating this again as developmental / stay busy. That's what the NHL is at this point. To protect the guys, go there to keep busy. And then this is kind of a junior / minor developmental league for other guys. So Pitt Martin, 61 points. Second place, I guess, behind, Grant LaRose. With 56 points, Andre Lacroix, 217 shots, pass bonus. Not good defensively, but can forecheck at least. And decent range. So Andre Lacroix, I know nothing of him going to the WHA and being like the Gretzky of sorts there yet. Jean-Guy Gendron back in the league. I like this. He's not young. He's no whippersnapper. How old is he actually? I want to say 36, but I want to look and double check. And of course, because I'm looking for him here, I'm not finding him. I know he's in here somewhere. If you're looking, you're probably seeing him even before I am. I think he's in there. It's actually quite unusual now that I'm not finding him. Anyway, Gendron, he's got 55 points, 198 shots and goal against only 65 penalty minutes and a +3 pass bonus. And so he's not going to fall far anyway, even if mysteriously he's not on this list all of a sudden. Maybe he's at the top of a team list and I just have to copy him back over. Norm Ferguson, 54 points, but 34 of them were goals. So that ties him with Danny Grant for the most total goals. And 2-9, that's a decent range. Can forecheck into defensive too. Need I say more? No, this video is already 23 minutes old. Ron Murphy, again, he's made a comeback and maybe even his name has fallen off. But Murphy, again, he's older, but okay, it was bothering me. So Gendron is I think I knocked that over. Anyway, that's not what Gendron is. What he is 35, age 35 there. And because, again, I'm just subtracting the 34 there from 69. Whereas Ron Murphy is 36. So anyway, that settles that. Eddie Joyal, 33 goals, so almost the top for that, but the defense has fallen, and again, he just didn't roll as well. I got to use that phrase more. I like that phrase for tabletop hockey, or for tabletop sports in general. Basically, certain guys rolled well and with certain teams, and then certain guys did not. So again, Boudreau, based purely on the 68 performance, got protected over Joyal. Pete Stemkowski had a good bounce back year in the developmental National Hockey League for 69. So he could figure into the draft. 21 goals, 52 points, 209 shots and goal. And you can see his card if you're looking. Charlie Burns, again, the uptick in the offense, which I think will cement his being drafted this time. I said in a prior video that he was older than old, but he's older than not as old as I thought. He's 33, which again for a right now league, I mean, any team looking to acquire a little added defense, maybe one of their own defensive players has fallen off. Looking at you, Boston, and Burns has experience playing for the Bruins also. Really, it's these expansion six teams that are going to really stock and augment the original / eternal six teams for this. But look, this guy can kill, he can shadow, he's got some Kahan going on, and also, but he's not quite the face-off guy that Kahan is, but he's better than average, decent range, better than Kahan's actually, I think, and a +3 pass bonus. Nothing to shake at. So here, Murray Oliver, 14 goals, 50 points, kind of winding down his career. Oliver at this point, now that I'm looking for him, I won't see his age. 32 is his age. Now that I said that, I found it. I said Danny Grant again. Danny O'Shea, 15 goals, 49 points, +2. He can screen, decent. Also got the face-off A there, and 157 shots in goal. Danny O'Shea. Keith Mccreary, which I did a 69 with Roberto Schiavini's Kill the Power Play, and Keith Mccreary had a real breakout, at least early in that campaign. So 25 goals and 48 points, 208 shots in goal, can forecheck and stuff, decent shooting range as well. Gary Sabrin, similar actually, very similar to Mccreary actually. Can't screen, but 25 goals, 48 points, 20 more shots, a few more penalty minutes to go with them, and very similar shooting range, Gary Sabrin. I guess another difference would be age, though, and now that I'm looking for the ages, I won't find them. Actually, Sabrin was a late ad, and he's only 26. Mccreary is 29, so a couple guys in their late 20s. I'm not sure if he would have had a nickname, but I'm thinking of giving him one with his +5 pass bonus, something like Dick Good Pass and Sarrazin or something like that, or Hot Pass and Sarrazin, probably Good Pass and Sarrazin. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. I got to double check. You know, among some of the research that I have to do to get ready for 69, I got to double check here his how to pronounce his name. +5 pass bonus, screen to Earl Engerfield. I would say at this point, too, we're getting into guys who are less and less likely to be drafted. Fringe. Engerfield, though, the +1 pass bonus and the 2. Gary Jarrett, who was taken by Detroit as kind of a fill-in for some injury relief. Plus, because of so many injuries, I decided to expand the rosters to 24 players from 21. So you have Gary Jarrett there. Jarrett, who I think is still pretty young, but now that I've said that, maybe not so much. And I might have added him late. No, 27. Yeah, that's youthful. More so than Gary Amon, who's 10 years his senior, but decent shooting range, not good for defense. We had 21 goals and 45 points there for Gary Amon. Again, I have these in order of points, not necessarily eligibility. That's right, too, because there's some guys lower down who, again, good defensive forwards. Gary Younger, I think similar to Park. I'd have to double check. Yeah, I'm not seeing it here. Maybe it's somewhere I read somewhere that he was very, like, as an emerging prospect, very, like, he ended up having a really good career anyway, and he was the Iron Man for a little while and everything like that prior to Jarvis, but I think maybe before his career really got going, I just have distant memory of reading something that even more might have been expected of him. So Unger there, he's played enough games. I wanted him at 68. I mentioned that before. Here you got a +2 penalty kill. To Jim Johnson is his name, 44 points, 146 shots on goal. I got to speed this up a little bit here. Mike Lawton. It's so tantalizing when you see a shooting range like that, and then you realize he only got to the net 103 times in 53 games though. So no, that's a decent card. That's just a good card. So again, this would be an example of a card that's a little further down that maybe Lawton's probably going to go pretty good and early actually, because he's not that old either. As I recall, he's 25, so even if he was kind of a one-hit, one-season wonder, again, he could be Mr. Right now for any of the 6 teams. Bruce Mcgregor, again, the classic example of somebody who didn't roll well. He was scratched. He was in and out of the lineup. He was just part of a really troubled Chicago team that, at least for my brief season, just couldn't get it together. And so it just kind of figured into the storyline that there was a mutual falling out there between Mcgregor and Chicago. He might look to be reacquired by Detroit. Again, he can kill penalties, forecheck, decent range, 18 goals, 41 points, 168 shots in goal. Jean Pronovost for Pittsburgh, low shooting range, but the pass bonus, 141 points, 199 shots. So again, he can at least get to the net. He's got some rebound potential here as well. You know, when you get to, like, just like in real hockey, you get to the net and things can happen. Anything can happen. Goalie coughs up some rebounds, and there you go. even if he wouldn't necessarily be the one to bury it. Who might bury it, surprisingly, he's like 37 years old, if not older in this. No, he's 37. He can still forecheck. He can kill penalties. 3 defense. If you're just listening and, not looking, I should specify penalties I'm referring to here. 20 goals, 149 shots in goal for Marshall there. Had a brief stint with Montreal in the 68 what if replay. Camille Henry, that range has even come down some. It was 3 something last time, but he almost never gets to the net. But here, a lot of shots with potential rebound, even though, 94 and 64 games, plus 1 pass bonus. Again, a team. He's also dual positional, which doesn't hurt, although his defense kind of does. If you're not at least a 2 or 3 in this stacked league, you're going to have trouble defensively. Defense damn well matters in this. Bad range there for Shock, but the +2 pass bonus. Again, this is really fringe, borderline bubble, but I thought I would include him. Ron Shock, plus he's like 26. Frank St. Marseille, he's 30, even, dual positional, not a great shooting range, but a pass bonus and a 2 defense there, 169 shots on goal. Ubriaco, hope I'm saying his name right, 275, that's a good shooting range. He lost some of his other attributes, as I recall, relative to his 68 car, but still you could do worse than him in 69, I would think. Prentice is going to be really fringe. He didn't roll well with Montreal, and his numbers came down a lot, again, in the stay busy / developmental Tier 2 National Hockey League. So Prentice. Brian Perry, good range, 61 points. And okay, I'll be honest, I threw him in kind of last minute because he's Oakland Seals. And so P-Jet, if you happen to be watching, or Dave or any other Seals fans, I thought I'd throw in one more eligible enough Seals name, who, again, whether or not he goes in the draft. Basically, my lists are up to about... I'm going to guesstimate 65 to 70, up from 59 yesterday. So in a draft where 48 players will be taken and 20-ish won't, he's going to be on the bubble, I would think. Wayne Cashman, so this is where maybe I Dennis Hull it up a little bit. Just 8 goals in 51 games, but good range. He can forecheck. He's got the pass bonus, the 2, and... So you see, like, somebody like Brad Park here, first round, second overall in 66 NHL amateur draft. And I realized, at the time it was, as Cliff Fletcher would say, draft schmaft, even though Fletcher was, an era after this. If I can find something to justify it, like read something that would have happened in real life at the time, amateur standing, then maybe I justify. So, but Cashman, I mean, he was young here. Cashman was... again, somebody who I could have sworn I had in here. I swear some of these guys disappeared, and Google is supposed to automatically save itself, so maybe I'm just a bit tired. So I'm glad that Cashman is here, since I seem to be having trouble finding him here. But thought that he was here at least at one point. Anyway, Cashman could figure into things. There's Ron Murphy. I was having trouble finding him earlier. So yeah, Cashman could very well end up being drafted. Similarly, okay, so we're down to Howie Hughes now. I remember him being kind of fringe in 68. Again, defense is decent, and he can forecheck, 161 shots and goal. Ron Stewart, shadow, is not so easy to find. So somebody, again, a team that's just looking for something, maybe they already have a lot of everything else, and they look to a veteran like Stewart, 37 at the time. That could be it as well. Boston, I had them with more veteran-laden heavy rosters and the postseason relative to the regular. Dave Ballone, again, just in a troublesome cutthroat. I don't even know if that's the word I'm looking for. I don't think it is. But a Chicago team at the time that just wasn't working for them. And Ballone, again, the range isn't there. But again, somebody who maybe a team who they're getting blasted in the power play. Even if he doesn't go in the draft, some team could look to acquire him. Although, again, the 2 defense. Where on one hand you see this, and this one you go, well, even strength situations, you'd rather somebody like Mccreary, for that matter, Bill Mccreary here, who, again, I don't have his name here because I added him late. Val Fontaine as well. I mean, he does have his name on the cup. He did come in and substitute when Boston was, roughed up dealing with injuries there at some points. Got to remember, they had Esposito gone for like half the postseason. They still won the damn cup. That 68 Bruins team was just destined. Gord, I should know how to pronounce it, Labossiere, I think it's Labossiere. +2 pass bonus, not too much else going on for his card, but whatever, his name's there. Larry Mickey, Shortened season for him, 8 goals and 27 points. So he's there. Jimmy Peters Jr., because I've done some play with Jimmy Peters Sr. for Montreal. So I saw his name, thought I'd throw it in. Numbers aren't too encouraging, but he is good defensively. So there is that at least. And then similar to Cashman, Mickey Redmond. So I guess in the case of someone like Redmond, I could look to like his Peterborough Pete's Jr. career. I mean, he had a 50-goal season in just 48 games, actually, in 67, and then went and played. I guess that's the Canadian. No, it wouldn't be the Canadian. Continental. I got to double check what the CPHL is, actually. So Redmond could figure into things. I'm still kind of on the bubble, but he did play 65 games. So he has the game's eligibility, 9 goals and 24 points. Any team that's looking to win right now probably will not acquire Redmond. But again, maybe if a team's struggling with injury, he could be a mid-season pickup if he's not taken before that or elsewhere. Stanley Cup winner Gary Darnoffer was in Boston's lineup for a lot of games, though, as like their number 11 forward. And which is like the equivalent of a number 13 forward if you're dressing 4 lines. His numbers came down a bit offensively, and he doesn't have the pass bonus anymore, but he can screen, and he can intimidate a bit and forecheck. Reggie Fleming, again, just threw a wild card in there because I've played with Fleming in a number of different games now for a number of different seasons, so I thought I'd just have him there. Maybe with Orland Kurtenbach out of the league, Fleming steps up. Almost a similar type of player, though a little less offense there, and his penalty minutes higher than his shots on goal. Skip Craik. Again, any guy who can play defense. It's one thing about Bones relative to other hockey games, even other hockey games that I really like. If you're not ready to go defensively in Bones, you can really you got to be able to do more than just score. You got to play a 200-foot game when you play hockey, Bones. If you're going to use an elite team. Now, for a straight season replay, maybe the teams that got away with just outscoring their problems, they do it. But again, this is an elite league with stacked teams where I'm drafting equally hard for all 6 of them. So Skip Craik, kind of bottom of the pile. He's got a pass bonus, so the 3 defense and can forecheck. Jeffrey, look, just 1 goal and 7 points. This is an example of a guy who 7 points in 75 games, frankly, sucked offensively. Offense, what's that? He was good, decent secondary scoring, mid-60s for the Red Wings there for a season or 3. But that's definitely come down. That's about gone. But again, if you want somebody to eat time, kill penalties, he's got some pluses, some play stoppages, 3 defense, and can forecheck. And we're back to Danny Grant. So anyway, this is... I guess I really just kind of going off the cuff here, really had no idea how long a video like this would take, and so I can't really expect, 37 minutes is a lot of time. Also, it's the end of the day, and I'm tired, so whatever, play me at double speed if need be. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to go through and just talk about the players, I guess. And so, as always, well, it isn't expected anytime. It's always appreciated. It does feel good and stuff, and... But yeah, this is again, I'm too tired. Sorry. This is, me looking forward and getting excited for season 2 of my project. Although obviously in my current tired state and condition, I'm not going to do anything like look to draft the teams. Not for this one. So, who will make a big impact not with their small business, but who will make a big impact, in 69 for the draft. Maybe I'll end it the way that I began. It remains to be seen. So anyway, the draft wheel, and maybe just to be a little dramatic, what I'll do the teaser of the stop. I'm going to click on it and then just going to say cheers, thanks, and bye for now. And of course, Boston came up number 1, but this is just a practice.